Digimon Ghost Game embraces the horror genre, and there are episodes that riff on The Ring, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and the Amityville Horror. The series' focus on a supernatural world intersecting with everyday society seems to be inspired by another of Toei's works. Gegege no Kitaro tells the story of a yokai boy named Kitaro and his friends as they go around resolving eerie otherworldly incidents. Toei's 2018 version in particular ties in themes such as human and yokai coexistence and the relationship between the supernatural and modern technology. All of these elements are present in Ghost Game's depiction of Digimon and the digital world, with questions regarding the nature of their existence and evolution. While Gegege no Kitaro had mysterious ongoing plotlines in the form of looming threats such as Nanashi, Blackbeard, and the four treasonous generals, Ghost Game is already hinting at similar running threads regarding the whereabouts of Hiro's father. Moreover, many of the strange occurrences in Gegege no Kitaro are either discovered by or gain power through rumors. This bears an uncanny tonal similarity to the formula of Ghost Game, where Digimon are typically uncovered by word of mouth or online rumors. Digimon Ghost Game occupies Fuji TV's 9 a.m. Sunday morning slot, a broadcast block that is oriented towards shonen demographics between the ages of 12 and 18. Due to its positioning right before One Piece in the weekend lineup, this is a fairly coveted programming block. Previous occupants of the time slot have included other Toei animation works, such as Zatch Bell, Toriko, Dragon Ball Super, and numerous other Digimon series. Both the 2018 version of Gegege no Kitaro and Digimon Adventure 2020 have occupied this spot, showing that Ghost Game shares the same target audience as the two. Ghost Game is the first Digimon series to do a direct back-to-back handoff with its predecessor in almost 20 years. Digimon Adventure 2020 ran from April 5, 2020, to September 26, 2021, with Ghost Game taking over the following week on October 3. While this was standard practice for the franchise up into its fourth series Digimon Frontier, the norm since then has been at least 3 years between iterations. Some fans found Adventure 2020 to be a disappointing reboot due to its meandering plot, lukewarm characterizations and rushed conclusions. One could infer that Toei is not only aware of Adventure 2020's underwhelming reception, but is attempting to gloss over it with a new series that integrates qualities from Gegege no Kitaro, which received more critical acclaim during its run. Plus, in episode 59 appears a girl named Meru Soma who looks a lot like Natsumi from Gegege no Kitaro. In episode 40, Spiral Beach, focused on the works of Junji Ito, one of the best horror writers of this era. Junji Ito's manga series Uzumaki focused on Kirigoshima and her boyfriend Shuichi Saito as they deal with the horrors of their hometown, Kuruzu-cho. The town and its citizens become increasingly tormented by spirals in various forms that lead to multiple curses and ultimately, everyone's doom. Uzumaki chronicled the effects of these curses through multiple chapters, each focused on a different part of the spiral curse and its effects on Kiri, Shuichi and the rest of the town. In Digimon Ghost Game, Calamariman became obsessed with spirals when she was transported into the human world. She caused increasingly horrific changes to ordinary objects, animals, and even humans, turning them into spiraled versions of themselves. Echoing Uzumaki's body horror to a slightly less graphic degree. Since Calamariman was a known entity that could be reasoned with, her reign of terror ended when she discovered the beauty in other shapes. She happily restored the town to its original state, allowing her victims to survive and resume their normal lives. At the beginning of Uzumaki, Shuichi recoiled from the sound of the clocks in town chiming on the hour. He noted that his reaction to the tone was a sign of the spiral curse's effects. As characters began becoming more aware of the spirals and their effect on the town, they became increasingly agitated by the sound of the clock chime. This irritation could be partially because the spiral curse was connected to a time spiral. As the spirals gained more foothold in Kuruzu-cho, time itself began functioning differently, speeding up the closer people got to the center of the time spiral. Throughout Uzumaki, Junji Ito used both blatantly horrific and seemingly innocuous bodily changes to show the spiral curse's effects on the town. In Chapter 6 of Uzumaki, Kiri's hair begins to take on a spiral form. While her classmates marveled at her new hair, the hair itself began to drain her of her energy. She only survived because Shuichi was able to cut off her hair. Kiri's classmate, Sekino, embraced her own hair transformation, but she ultimately began a skeletal husk, drained of her life force from the curse. In Digimon Ghost Game, Calamaraman's powers were sound-based. When she turned her tentacles in a circular motion, the sound waves from that action spread out and affected objects touched by the sound waves. Even though Digimon Ghost Game chose not to incorporate the time element into the story, they still referenced the tones of the clock with Calamaraman's powers. One particular moment instead referenced his short story The Enigma of Amagara Fault. In this short story, an earthquake causes thousands of human-shaped holes to appear in Amagara Mountain. Multiple characters enter these holes insisting that they were made just for them, and in their process, they are warped into twisted forms of themselves. During the team's investigation of Spiral Beach in Digimon Ghost Game, Jellymon finds a stack of clay pots in the town's harbor. The clay pots themselves are a nod to Kiri's father's pottery in Uzumaki. However, upon finding the pots, Jellymon excitedly enters one and states, "This feeling when I'm a perfect fit." Thus, the clay pots function similarly to the human-shaped holes in Ito's short story. However, like the victims in the horror of Amagara Fault, Jellymon's choice to enter the pot ends in her own disfigurement as Calamaraman begins using her spiral powers once more. In episode 29, a mysterious fog descends upon a shopping mall, leaving Kiyoshiro and Jellymon trapped with a lost little girl, Yuna. The mysterious fog and the spider-like Digimon that attacks people within it all seem to be directly inspired by Stephen King's novella The Mist, which focused on a mist that descended upon the small town of Bridgeton, Maine after a terrible storm. While the townspeople initially assumed the mist was just fog, they soon learned that it also contained many horrifying creatures, from giant insects and spiders to strange, prehistoric tentacled monsters. The novella focused on a group of people trapped in a grocery store trying to make sense of the horror and escape. In episode 29, Kiyoshiro and Jellymon become trapped in a shopping mall after a mysterious fog descended upon the area. The mist itself was made of poisonous pollen, leading anyone who inhaled it to fall unconscious. While the people within the mall were safe at first, as in the mist, monsters, in this case spider-like Digimon known as Kodokagumon, began attacking those who remained and using poison to drain their victims' life forces. The true cause of the mist was Tauropiamon, a plant-like Digimon with vines similar to the mist's first monster's tentacles that was producing both the poisonous fog and the Kodokagumon's poison. Stephen King was inspired to write The Mist by a trip to his local supermarket following a thunderstorm, during which he imagined prehistoric animals and giant insects besieging the building. Some might say that Digimon Ghost Game episode 60 is reminiscent of a Doctor Who episode called The Waters of Mars. This is the third episode of the specials of the British science fiction television series Doctor Who, which was first broadcast in November 2009. The story is set on Mars in the year 2059, where the Doctor encounters the first human colony, Bowie Base 1. Two crewmen appear to be in a zombie-like state, generating copious amounts of water. A third crewmate, Margaret Kane, gets infected and they quarantine her while sealing off the biodome. From observation, they discover that the infection is by an intelligent virus, the Flood, and now seeks to get to Earth. The Doctor suspects the Flood was sealed in the glacier the base was using for water by the Ice Warriors eons ago, and a bad filter allowed the virus to infect the crew. The remaining crew have not yet touched that source of water and are uninfected, and the crew is ordered to evacuate to their rocket back to Earth while setting the base to self-destruct. The doctor starts walking back when he hears cries for help. The infected crew have broken the biodome seal and are now attacking the central hub with massive amounts of water, infecting several others. The rocket's pilot is infected, but he sacrifices himself by causing the rocket to self-destruct to strand the flood, at the cost of stranding the remaining crew as well. The doctor races back and rescues Adelaide and the last surviving crew, moments before the base destructs, killing all the infected beings and the flood itself. He returns them to Earth. In episode 60, Hiro, Ruli and Kiyoshiro go to a seaside town to attend an Onigami festival. But there, it suddenly starts raining, and people who are hit by the raindrops head first spew water from their eyes and mouth, causing buildings to be flooded. Some locals tell Hiro about a strange mummified body located in a shrine and believes that the incident could be connected to it. On their way to the shrine, the gang meets a submarine who informs them of a pack of hangyomen instigating the incident by pouring digital water on people's heads, causing their bodies to stiffen and puke digital water. Once they arrive to the shrine, they find a mummified body which turns out to be a dried-up cathethlamon. When it opens its eyes, quickly hits Ruli and Hiro with a dash of digital water, putting them out of action. Then announces his plan to drown the world in digital water with the help of its hangyomen followers. With Kiyoshiro left to save the world, he and Submarine track down cathethlamon and his followers only to be soon overpowered by this mega-level Digimon. Then their thoughts synchronize and Jellymon reaches his mega stage, Amphimon.